not once a year. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
It's the end of the world as you know it, but I'm kind of just okay tonight. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. It is 7/7/2016. There's people out in the streets. There's dead bodies out in the streets. Innocent life taken away from us. There's elections that are divide and conquer. Remember that. We've got the Brexit. Everything is in chaos. Hillary Clinton's, whatever that was, the FBI, didn't even put her under oath. Like, that's just a show. Like, that's a joke. That's where we're at. They're just spitting in our face. But I guess if you still want to, think that this is all fine and dandy, I mean, there's just violence in the streets for no reason. Right now, we have some peaceful protests, last I saw anyways. Hopefully it stays that way. In Times Square, New York, over what's happened with Alton Sterling, the situation in Minneapolis. It's just unbelievable. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our wonderful sound director, Shannon Manning. Shannon, what is up?
I'm having a day. We'll just put it that way.
I think that can be said probably for most today.
And again, going back to Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, it really does put things in perspective.
Yeah, that's certainly the headline.
And one of the things that it puts in perspective is the fact that there is still two Americas when it comes to race relations in this nation. It really is. Particularly when it involves interactions with the police.
I'm telling you. Oh, first off, yes, you're correct. No question. But we have to understand that this is not just a race issue. Like, this is an authoritarian people.
Well, have you read some of the comment sections lately? And I think you'd probably feel a little bit differently. I'll go through some of them here in a moment. A comment that staff member of here at Anti-Media, I won't name which one, but a thread that they had today, and several people that are supposedly enlightened, informed people that are part of the liberty movement, suddenly are popping their head up and exposing themselves as not only bootlicker, but also racist as well. But we can get to that a little bit later, because that's something that I want to talk about just for a few minutes, as far as the actual, the fact that racism doesn't exist in America anymore.
That's a joke. It does. Of course it does. No, anybody that denies that is just not paying attention.
The problem
anything.
is, though, is it's getting undersold. And it's getting undersold by white America. And that pisses me off. It really does, because it's negating the issue.
Right.
Not to say that Black Lives Matter hasn't parodied themselves at different points and twists and turns after they initially
That's everything, though. That's everything.
But, I mean, again, though, that has negated the movement. And we need to bring the camera squarely back on focus to where Black Lives Matter original mission statement
I'll be honest. Like, here's the thing about it. I mean, this is honestly my view. I know everybody gets one way or another with it. I mean, it's Black Lives Matter movement. It's, if done in the appropriate way, it's a great, great thing. If done correctly. It has at points. It hasn't at points. But again, that's everything, everywhere. That's just how people are. But I don't care if they were black or not. I could care less. Like, big deal. That's a person. Like, it's two people. Take the uniform off. And there's just two people. Okay. Just kill a guy. That's what you see. Mm-hmm. You see a guy just put a gun down on another person and just start popping the trigger off.
And
that's called murder. Like, I don't care who is what. The
situation in Minneapolis is definitely probably the more heartbreaking of the two, because here you had a citizen that announced to the police officer that I have a legally registered gun in my car. I wanted to let you know that before I reach for my ID. And as he went to reach for his ID, that was it. It was game over.
Like,
something I would have done, certainly. I mean, that's, I don't drive with a firearm in my vehicle.
You could tell that cop was
Kevin, I could defer to you, because I know that you
that
usually
cop was
are,
freaking out. Like, he at least as evil as that was, what he did. I mean, evil.
Well,
you could hear it in his voice.
Well, let me ask Kevin really quick.
My life's over.
Let me ask Kevin really quick, because Kevin is a registered gun owner that usually will have his weapon with him, and he is, celebrating his Second Amendment right to do so. What would you do in that situation, Kevin? Would you do pretty much the same protocol as far as, yes, I am armed, officer, and I mean, but
a lot of states actually require you to.
You hang on, you're not on for some reason or another. Please stand by.
So, but I think with the situation,
try it now, Kevin.
This shouldn't be a political thing, and it is, and whatever. At least it's getting spotlight somewhere. But this is human rights. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, we're just going to let these people walk around shooting people? Insanity. And it's insane to me that there's people on this planet that defend that.
Well,
No. Did you see the angle of or did you see did you hear what he did 3 years ago? Oh my gosh. It's like, did you see what happened right there at the end?
And again, in the case of Eric Garner, here was a guy that pretty much made his living. He was the CD guy. And if you've ever lived or ever visited a inner city neighborhood, you have the CD guy and you got the DVD guy. And yes, they are committing a crime. They are reproducing music or reproducing movies or DVDs or whatever the case may be, and making a couple bucks off of it. They are committing a crime. By definition, they are definitely committing a crime. Is anyone hurt in that transaction?
Oh, I'm not going to have that.
Other than,
of course,
a bunch of folks in Hollywood that have made billions upon billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, and ignored the technology that was catching up to them, and decided to do nothing about it. No, that internet thing will be a fad. It'll go away in a few days. You mark my words. And that's pretty much what happened. I mean, we saw it with Napster on through.
Yeah, he might as well have been selling 8 tracks out of his trunk of his car.
But that's kind of where I'm at with it, because also too, these guys, the CD guy will also they'll also promote local artists Sometimes you go to try to get the guy that's down on the street that has a really good performance at the club. Man, I got his mixtape right here.
Yeah, a lot
and
of
it got
artists.
some Jay-Z songs on it, and it's got some Tupac on it, and so on and so forth. But again, though, I mean, okay, so we have some people. Maybe somebody in Hollywood lost a few bucks out of his whole entire career. Guys hustling, making CDs. Is it against the law? Yes. Yes, it's against the law. I hate it, but it's against the law. How many laws did you break today?
Okay.
I broke at least 4 of them driving back over to my house, trying to get here in time to do the show.
I've got a story here that's kind of relevant, I feel. I was in high school, and me and this other kid are on the basketball team, and I let him borrow a Tupac CD. Well,
how old were you?
Oh, I was like in 11th grade.
Oh, okay.
There were teachers that didn't like me anyway. But that's a whole
This is an almost adult situation. Very well into his teenage years.
Okay, so that's different and later story, whatever.
He had hairs on his pubes.
I let this kid borrow this Tupac CD, and his mom finds it, and she gets mad. Who let my son have this filth?
Yeah.
And they were rich. My family was not. And so that turned into, they were looking for an excuse anyway.
I couldn't hang out anymore.
That was, we're going to have a talk about you being suspended. So then they tell me, yeah. And then that story kind of goes on and on and on. Ultimately.
You're a bad child.
No, anyway, so the point is like how ridiculous that is. They're like, we're not going to let you learn for a day because you let this kid, you handed him a CD. And okay, now think about how ridiculous that is. And let's get to like the adult world. And instead of not learning for a day, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
We're just going to take your life.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
And whether it be in the case of loose cigarettes or whether it be the case of the CD guy. Now, and again, as the story goes, and this is the narrative so far that's been provided by the Baton Rouge Police Department, is that they received a call that he was selling CDs in the front of the store, and he waved a gun to somebody, possibly the store owner, possibly, because even the store owner has come forth.
But he was he said it was handled incorrectly.
Yeah, I
don't think he would have been the one
said
to,
it was. The guy was kind of hassling folks, but the way the police handled it was clearly just like, no, man, they just could have just easily spun him around, cuffed him, threw him in the back of the car. Simple transaction, like as his rap sheet suggests. He was accustomed to. Now, at the same time, his rap sheet ain't got nothing to do with this. The fact that he was murdered by the police.
No, not a bit.
Over some CDs.
Well, and
some
law enforcement, the police probably didn't actually know who he was. And if they didn't, I think
it was Baton Rouge, I bet they knew who it was. Maybe they didn't.
I mean, there's so many people that are in trouble, too.
At the same time, though, he was known. I'm sure that, if they received a call and they've had, one of his previous charges that he was busted on, I believe in 2007, was one of the, selling counterfeit CDs. And, of course.
I rescind my comment.
So, but at the same time, that was still, 9 years ago? So he's still in the CD game. I guess they kind of just got over it at one point in time, or he, moved to another neighborhood. I don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, that doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Somebody that was committing a petty crime now, and again, I don't know about him waving the gun or this, that, and the other. His rap sheet suggested he probably shouldn't have had a gun.
That may be probable.
So, again, saying all these things and setting that up, the police pretty much went there to kick some ass. And that's kind of where I'm at with the problem I have with this narrative.
I don't think I'll be honest with you, and I know I may get a little bit of this may not be a position that's very popular whatsoever, but I don't think the guys, I won't argue they went there and planned on using muscle or being willing to use muscle if necessary. And It seems obvious.
No. Let's go ahead and chop that if necessary part, because again,
no. What they
happening.
view, excuse me, I need to paraphrase that with what they say is necessary, which I completely, I don't
and
think.
We'll get to the next story.
My definition of necessary and theirs, excuse me, what they view as justified. Put it that way, with a big asterisk beside it. So yeah, I should have been a little more clear about that. But I don't think the guys wanted to shoot him necessarily, but I think they probably overreacted, freaked out, shot the guy. You know, in hindsight, do you think that they're glad they shot him? I probably think
probably no, because their lives are over.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure this is something they've all envisioned. If they've not done it yet, they've probably all envisioned that. I would think it's safe to say, at least, and even in training, you know, part of a lot of times realistic training aspect is picturing yourself doing it.
Here's the thing, though.
I'm not saying it wasn't murder.
You're right. All the ifs, ands, and buts ain't gonna bring anybody back to life.
No, it's not.
And just because he got a little scared, ain't gonna bring anybody back to life.
No, and it doesn't justify it one bit. But I guess I was long-winded in my point trying to get to that. I saw a screenshot of the video, and when I saw the screenshot, I looked at it several times and watched the videos again, and it looks to me like they actually had both of the guy's hands and arms isolated away from his pockets, or at least not on his pockets right before that. So I don't know. It looks rough. Either way, it looks, I mean, and what's sad is this is not the first time anything like this has happened. I saw, you know, it was just here the last year, another guy got pulled over for not having his seatbelt on and immediately pulled into the parking lot of a gas station. It was a black guy.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing coincidence.
Right. And he got out of the car, and the cop told him to get out. I think the cop told him to get out of the car, and where's his ID at? And he went to grab it, and the cop basically shot him right there, I think right there in the back. It's been months since I've seen it. I'll have to pull it up. But it's just horrifying. This is not something that that obviously happens once in a blue moon. This is something that's increasingly happened for whatever reason that we could debate. But it's happening more and more and more. And something's got to give. And at this day and age, and who can argue that at least a lot of this, if not the majority of this, relies and falls back to training or lack thereof on the part of what's supposed to be ideally so-called law enforcement.
We've discussed at length on the show the IQ requirements or lack thereof.
Right. Oh yeah.
And the training, and the list goes on. But you know what? These people there's not even consequences for them. Like there's not even consequences.
Yeah. You know, if we and again in any other industry or profession, when you go to work and people die, and you know, then you go and this is, you know, where it really gets nasty, is that, you know, then suddenly that police officer that just shot somebody explains it really quick in a very almost like, okay, yeah, I guess I could kind of see where that happens. Yeah, I mean, you know, police officers have such a dangerous job and so on and so forth, and then you skim over all of the actual real
the real life details of what happened.
You know, the case in South Carolina comes to mind, the taser incident where he reached for my taser. And,
hey, how many Alton Sterlings are there out there? And
guys, I don't mean to interrupt. Actually, I do mean to interrupt. We got. I
got to get you a new
Let's
cord.
try this again. Times Square. Big protest going on.
Yes.
Well, apparently there's another big protest going on in Dallas right now, and it's being reported. Streets are being blocked off. 2 officers being reported shot.
Oh, good night.
So, yeah, this is kicked off in Dallas. Kind of seems like a response to the last 2 killings. And it's a response to a lot of unjustified or seemingly unjustified killings. And this is what we've been headed to for a while.
Here we are.
You know, that group that I was talking to you about earlier?
Yeah.
They had been on the Fed watch list already, supposedly. So a news report said. You know, that page went down sometime last night. Or so it seems at this point. Wouldn't surprise me if a lot of stuff has been expected.
So, okay. We just had a meeting. This ties into what's going on with all that. Just go up on the Facebook page, the Anti-Media Facebook page. Always double check to listen to us on ucy.tv/TAMR as well. If anybody wants to call in tonight, please do at 718-717-8296. And we're live every Tuesday and Thursday on UCY at 10 o'clock Eastern and 7 o'clock Pacific for 2 hours. And Nick is on Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. and 8 p.m. Pacific. LaVon is on Fridays, same time. So, this meme. When a government will execute its citizens for reaching for an ID, but will ignore a criminal reaching for the nuclear codes,
Yeah.
you should probably stop celebrating it.
Burn.
All right. What's your thoughts on that? We were talking about this earlier today, Kevin, a little bit. What do you think about that? Like, that we live in a world that, like, how is any of this taking place? Like, it's so blatant with Hillary Clinton. I mean, they didn't even put her under oath. Like, that's a joke.
Crazy?
That is a joke. And then on the other side, we have a literal joke.
Didn't even record it.
We have a literal joke running for president. And then she is a literal criminal, and everybody knows it. Like doing in the meme making process. I've been fascinated with the connection between OJ and her, because it's just so like, yep, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right, man. What? And who would have? You know, who doesn't feel a little bit? A lot of us. Where were you at? Did you know that the FBI was going to give it up? Was going to ultimately just?
Yeah, I wasn't shocked.
I'll be honest with you, Comey's. They did a. I'm telling you, the poker face. They pulled it off. They got me. I actually thought, as time went on, I really started to believe that there was a chance that they would actually indict her. Now, if they had found her guilty, was going to be another question.
I'll tell you this: I thought there was so little chance of her being indicted. I didn't watch it live because I knew what the outcome was going to be. Area code 864. Thank you for calling in to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
I'm calling from Wallace, South Carolina.
South Carolina, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
So, and we've got people out in the streets in Times Square in Dallas, Texas. We've got Hillary Clinton just doing whatever she wants to do. We've got dead bodies all over the country.
It's a sad scene.
What's your overall view on what we've got in front of us right now?
Well, we shouldn't be celebrating. We really shouldn't be. 4th of July this all happened at a bad time of year where people just want to celebrate, drink beer and get drunk and fire off fireworks and celebrate how great America is. Even though we're not so great anymore. We haven't been great for a long time.
And it's sad. It's where we're at.
That is where we're at, and I don't see it changing anytime in the near future.
Well, you know, I don't know why people aren't rioting in the streets.
Shouldn't be rioting in the streets.
Well, I don't know about
I think
that.
he speaks that figuratively.
Well, no, I mean, you know, what else are we going to do now?
I don't think that's going to accomplish anything. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what that's going to do.
So what are we doing now that's accomplishing
Okay,
anything?
I'm with you.
There's a lot of stuff we're not.
Rioting won't change anything.
Rioting is going to make it worse, and let me tell you why. Because those people have all that equipment, and they've been just itching to use it. And look at how somebody like Trump deals with people at his rallies. And let's talk about the Democrats having a gigantic wall. Okay, we're talking about some security here on both sides.
Look, it ruins their credibility in any sense when they go and
and then we're talking about people already getting shot and killed, right now with no consequence.
None on camera.
We'll see what
charges.
happens. Paid
leave. Just take a few months off, chill out.
Hopefully something will happen this time.
Go see your psychiatrist the requisite amount, and just relax, man. We got this. FOP's got a bunch of lawyers. We're straight, man. Don't worry about it. This little thing will blow over. Everybody forget about it 6 months from now.
They didn't even record the conversation.
That's amazing.
The body cameras
You think
fell
they
off.
even
Yeah.
took? No. I'm talking about with Clinton, the FBI.
Oh, I was talking about the body cameras down there when poor Alton met his fate. They didn't record it. That's a common theme, common thread.
Of course.
The mic just, that mic wasn't on.
What do y'all? Hey, what do y'all think about
this case? It actually was on. They just they didn't, from my understanding, didn't capture the video of it. They were aimed a different direction.
Whatevs.
I want to go ahead and the call from South Carolina. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Oh yeah.
And anybody else that wants to call in, phone number is 718-717-8296.
Blow it up.
So what do y'all think about the fact that? I mean, I assume you've seen the gas station in Baton Rouge. Like, it's pretty
and again,
pretty small.
We just ran through it, and we've talked about.
Hold on. So wait, think about that. We've got it from two angles on phones.
Yes.
And that gas station,
yeah,
where there's nobody at, and yet we have the Orlando shooting just passed with how many people are in there? No footage. None.
Yeah.
Now that's a bit. What's that about?
Remember Men in Black when they had the little thing that flashed in your eyes and you just like forgot everything? Yeah, I wonder if we were talking about technology. I wonder if they've finally got one of those.
Well, they say what
nobody's mentioning that one.
30 years. So was it 30 years in advance? Technology is supposedly before it hits the
market.
It's the market. So who knows, man?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's just a sad state of affairs. It really is. Like, I don't know what else to say. We did a little skit the other night playing Near My God to Thee, which is the song that plays the Titanic went down. And it's like, well, that was it. Gave it a nice send-off. And, here we are. And we're watching the chaos erupt. And we still have political conventions coming up. And let me tell you something. Bernie is going back down. He's already hinting at it, of course. But listen, and he probably... But I didn't think I would say this. I don't know what I think. Who knows what I think? It doesn't matter what I think. But this is what I... But he's going to back off because of his supporters. They know they're going to get riled up.
I saw something today floating
and they're going to try to keep that
social
down.
Media. Bernie is going to run the whole entire race. Bernie's not going to back down at all. The Bernie supporters are starting to chitter chatter among themselves and get a little bit of glimmer of hope. Man, it's so horrible what they're doing to those people, man.
But they need a little more donations.
Yeah.
As long as you stay in the boat.
It's like being a Bernie supporter is like being an Auburn fan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like we all know at the end.
Yeah, you can just hope for a moral victory, a field goal.
At least you fought the good fight, right?
Yeah, we held them to 15. Woo!
Well, so it's all just so blatant,
So now let's talk about getting back, getting back to the reason why we have two riots going on in two major cities.
One's
in America.
not a riot.
Well, not a riot, but protest. Excuse me.
We should have protests.
I don't know.
We should have protests. We just don't need riots.
Well, and I'm sure there'll be a riot, and it'll be started by a police officer undercover somewhere.
Well, like I said,
like
it looks like it's already starting to.
At least in Times Square, Kevin. I think they're going to do their best to keep that down.
Oh, it's in Dallas now.
I know. I'm going to pull up here what we got going on.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shannon.
I was trying to follow it on Twitter earlier because I tell you, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm going to throw what Twitter is, but if you're looking for real-time news, like on the ground, and you have
Did Twitter pay you to say this?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was fixing to say.
They really didn't. I swear to you. It sounds bad.
Saw a stack of Twitter stickers.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, if it sounds bad, please forgive me. I'm not telling you. I'm just saying this one thing for it.
Are you listening to this, Kevin?
Shashing.
I hear it. Oh, my God.
See his
I
eyes?
can't do anything.
I know I heard some jingling in it or not.
He had a swag about him, didn't
he? He's sitting kind of funny on all that money he's got in his billfold.
He even cut his beard kind of in that little T symbol.
Yeah.
I see.
The dollar sign.
No, is it a T or is it a bird? It's a bird, right?
I don't know. It's a bird, I think. They told me at the meeting it was a bird, okay?
It's like
Put a bird on it.
It's like
Just
flying,
kidding.
It's like the flying T.
Anyway, get on there and just type in the hashtag or something and you see what's happening instead of turning on CNN. So,
Yeah, literally. Watch a live stream.
Right. Go. Yeah,
Unfiltered.
that exists. We've got one of our reporters, Pam Beers, that does it all the time,
That's
live
beautiful,
stream
dude.
stuff.
That is so awesome.
Luke Rudowski does it. Derek Bros
Luke
does
a
it.
great job.
Lots of people are doing it. I know I'm leaving a ton of people out, but yeah, live stream.
There's so many. Bypass the media
That's it.
and go straight to the source.
So sorry for the Twitter endorsement earlier, but the principle was.
No, you're not. You were paid to say that, and you were paid well.
I wish. I wish. Where's that check? Sell out.
For reals.
Get some robots in here. It's going to be like the Jetsons. Be living with Zuckerberg, having robots bringing me the pills that are now my protein. USA. Man, today was a good day for some John Cena news because everything else is just garbage. Like, how do you, we went through this the other night, Shannon. How do you even report the news now? It's really, really, really bad in all fronts. Oh, yeah, for those who aren't aware, everybody's bored. The United States is bored with this Brexit business. And so they're getting the itch via NATO to start throwing troops up in the Baltic states, staring right down at Putin.
Even after the head admitted that there is no Russian aggression. Did you guys see
Right.
that?
Oh, yeah. There's no Russian aggression. And look, Putin is what Putin is. Nobody's sitting here being a Putin supporter. That guy's got his own problems. But he's not poking at anybody. And we're doing all the poking at him. And it makes no sense. Like we're just trying to provoke World War III. That's what it seems like. We're just trying to provoke it. In the midst of everything else we're talking about, the probably most dangerous situation is the one that they're not putting on the news every day. They're not even talking about it. And that is, I would suggest, probably by far the most immediate, y'all need to calm down moment. Like, if we're going to stop anything right now, like, we can stop one thing, let it be that. And people haven't seen it impact their lives yet. So they're just kind of like, well, whatever. We got these other problems. I understand that. But when World War III kicks off, we've already shot down drones. Or Putin's already shot down U.S. drones. But they're not even supposed to be there, so what are we going to say? So that's, pay attention to what's going on in the Baltic states, Ukraine, all that situation right now. Because it's not good at all. Like, it's like the United States, NATO, the Western Allies, whatever you want to call it, they're on a suicide mission right now in every direction. There's no way that this is just not, somebody has just put, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. It is out of control in every single direction. And look what's in front of us. Look what's in front of us. First off, as I've said a million times, Hillary Clinton will never be president. But what does that leave us with? Wow. The guy, let me tell you how Trump will deal with a situation like tonight, where there's people protesting. This is what people need to realize about Donald Trump, and it's a scary thing about Donald Trump. He's going to go, no, we're tough. We're tough. We're not going to deal with this. And he's going to shut it down. And I think we all know what that means he's going to do to shut it down. He's going to bring in some riot-geared up young kids ready to crack some skulls.
What worries me even more is that he won't actually have to give that order. But there's people that will see that as a mandate that are authorities, his election, and I think will be empowered in such a way
That's what they say.
They'll just start, hey, we need to do it.
They say J. Edgar Hoover had that kind of power because they say, I've heard a lot of people say they don't think J. Edgar Hoover gave the order to kill King, but he did, if you know what I mean.
He didn't have to.
He didn't have to.
Right. That needed to be done.
Right. He didn't have to.
And then he would approve, yeah.
Yeah, it was what he wanted anyway, so we're just going to do it for you, buddy. You don't need to worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Totally can see that.
And so, I mean, look at the way Trump is handling his rallies. We already brought that up. Look at the way he wants to change libel laws so he can sue.
Oh, God. I know. That is...
Like that, but you sit here and I get it. You don't want to talk about Trump, Shannon.
35 minutes.
But that's our future.
Freedom of the press. Mr. Constitution.
Minutes.
Anyways, we don't have to talk about it. Turn it off. But...
I can do that.
I know you can.
I have that
That's
power.
why I was talking to you. I wasn't talking to anybody.
I'm over here. I'm trying to catch up on my
you.
show research. It's been a horrible day. I had to visit my mother in the hospital earlier, so I'm not on my A game tonight. So
I think it's been a week for everybody, but
God, it has.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
That is like brutally like the heat of hell here in the dirty
This
South.
is probably really, really bad to say, but if anybody's having a really bad day and feeling down on themselves, why don't you go see what's going on in Syria right now? And you're like, man, it could be way worse. I should probably be thankful for what I've got right now.
Oh, wow.
Try being Mr. Castile's mother. That's the fellow that got shot in Minneapolis. I was actually going back through more details on this story. I've had to kind of catch up over the past day or so. That man, you want to talk about a tragic story, and the picture we painted earlier that happened in Baton Rouge with Mr. Alton.
I want to call him Alton because my uncle's name was Alton.
Okay, Alton.
I don't know.
It'll be out of respect if you do.
Yeah,
I've heard it both ways.
My uncle's name was Alton, so if I say that.
I've only seen it in print. I haven't heard anybody say it because
I'm trying to stay away from TV.
Stay away from news sources altogether. But from what I've seen, the story that story has a lot of weird things about it. A felon with a gun, the fact that he was had a known criminal history, and possibly the police may have been privy to that before they pulled up. Don't know. But the case in Minneapolis is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Castile actually worked for the school system. This is horrible. He worked for the St. Paul Public Schools, and he was a cafeteria worker. He'd actually just been promoted to a supervisory position. He was a straight-A high school student. He has no criminal record of any kind whatsoever, except for maybe a few traffic tickets. Probably way less than I have.
The NRA should be like on top of buildings right now, and I'm pretty sure they're not.
This is a legally registered gun owner that announced to a police officer, I do have a weapon in this vehicle.
Now,
I'm
by law,
I'll tell you, if this doesn't happen, I'll be surprised, and it may not, because look, who knows what's going to happen at this point.
4-year-old daughter sitting in the back seat.
But I will say this: this is what I think, just from a political move, that cop, like, he's done. Like, they're going to throw him away for life, just for political reasons. Like, there's no way they can let that guy go.
No, somebody's going to be made an example of.
Somebody at this point, they have to make an example of it. If they don't make it that guy, they want these people in the streets. Like, they want it. If you don't convict that guy, you're asking, please come out into the road and tell us what your problems are.
Unfortunately, there's so much that, and I'm not justifying anything, don't get me wrong, but I wish that we could somehow see what happened up until the point where he actually got shot.
Yeah, there's footage of it.
From the it'll come out, yeah. But to my understanding, having
the footage was happening right there next to him. His girlfriend was.
No, I know she
uploaded it to Facebook.
No, but I'm talking about before the shots was fired. The exchange.
What she posted that at least I've seen wasn't from before, but there's footage of it.
Right,
it's just a matter of time before.
Right, it's after he was already been shot. Yeah.
Which I would assume we would see it at some point.
Oh, we will. Somebody's got it.
Oh yeah, I can't. I'm.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Tragic, man. I just can't.
I bet we will. Unless he had a dash cam. I mean, or a camera. I bet we will not see it.
I don't need to see it.
We're not going to see it.
But I have watched it.
Well, I bet unless he had a body cam, I bet we won't see it because just from the angle.
There's no way to
speculate.
At least his car had something on it. Like, look, we're gonna see what happens.
He had his girlfriend, his daughter with him. The officer pulled him over for a busted taillight.
I thought something.
I'll say this: I don't think I'd have been as calm as his girlfriend in that video.
That's what was odd. It was so odd to me when it first started playing. I was wondering. It took me a minute for the cop to come in.
She was chill.
Yes, she was.
Given the situation.
Well, and I don't want to talk about somebody rudely, but I'll tell you, it didn't seem like she was very emotional, which that could totally be.
I think.
shock.
See, my wife said that, and that's the very first thing I said. I was like, she was in shock.
Yeah,
like she was in complete shock, and she was just going through the motions. Yeah, I don't think the gravity of the situation had registered with her yet.
No, I don't either. That's the only thing I could think of.
But because when it did, I'm sure that probably wasn't nice to be around.
Right.
Because that poor woman.
Well, she let loose.
Like, to see that.
Towards the end of the video, though, when they threw down her phone, apparently, and you can hear her saying on the phone, I'm surprised they actually didn't destroy the phone or get rid of the phone before that. But she yells out Facebook or to whoever, I think is what she said, that hey, this they took my phone and threw it. And then she went and kind of became obviously upset, crying and screaming. So she kind of fell apart then.
Well,
but too, at the time in the vehicles, she really had no choice but to keep her composure. Because the cop still had a gun trained on her. She really had no time.
Did you hear the governor came out and he's like, we ain't playing this. That's racist.
He's really saying he's going to.
Like I said, politically, like this is something they're going to have to come out of the woodwork for.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they don't, they are legitimately asking for people to come.
Right. Well, like you said, it may not be a riot just yet, but Dallas and Times Square are both kicking off.
Like they're going to have to, we're going to have to speed up the process.
Right.
Because people they're not going to take to this.
Well, one thing that I just couldn't help.
And they need to do it in both of them.
I couldn't help but think about, as the two of you were talking, about what was going on in her mind for her to be so composed or whatever. Maybe there might have been a slight bit of acceptance that that's just how interactions with law enforcement officers and black Americans go down. And sometimes your number's not called up, and other times it is. Again, conversations that I've had, God, this was just a couple months ago. There's a local artist here in Birmingham, friends with on Facebook, and one of the
Don't say my name, man. Don't say my full name.
No, not you. It's a good artist.
I'm great.
He has a son who is, I believe he's 21 years old, and he was recently pulled over by the police at 3:00 in the morning. Actually had some car trouble, and the tone of the Facebook post was, "Thank God that my son survived that interaction with the police," which actually wound up being a friendly, helpful interaction with police. And that's what I'm saying. It's just that's
right. It's the fear.
I mean, and can you blame black Americans for that?
No,
fear?
No.
It's justified.
No, I can't at all.
It is a justified fear.
It completely is. And I want to get into that in a second, but first I want to go ahead and bring on area code 518. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Hello.
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 Hi, I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry, I'm turning the TV down.
It's all good.
So they actually right now on social media, there's actually reports that in the Dallas rally, shots were being fired. it just surprises me how we're getting to this like extent.
This
where...
is Shannon by chance, is it?
Huh?
This isn't your name's not Shannon, is it by chance?
That's my name.
No.
I apologize then. Carry on.
Don't be flirting with the callers, Kevin. You're a married man.
So
we're teasing.
Agreed. So supposedly two police. Did you see that supposedly two police officers have been shot?
No, I just somebody that I have on Facebook that's actually down there was like live casting it, and you can hear the gunshots in the background. So it didn't actually like say who got shot, but you could like.
Has anyone announced that it was gunshots? Because we are pretty close to the 4th of July too. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
He says that because he doesn't realize before he got home I unloaded a round of fireworks in your driveway.
You shot off fireworks without me?
Which prompted the neighbors to take a lot of
golly.
Anyways, it's going to get bigger. Are they talking about?
Obnoxious.
Are they talking about other protests? There's the same source you said on Facebook, right? So I guess it was an individual down there. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of live streams going on in both demonstrations.
Thank the caller for calling in, by the way. Anybody else that wants to call in?
Great call.
718-717-8296. I tell you what, what you were talking about earlier, Shannon, about the situation with the fear. I go on and on and on and on about how we're controlled by fear and people should not be scared. Okay. I'm not saying that you should be scared of cops, but you should be. But what it is because there's an untrustworthiness between cops and between the civilians. Like there's been this dividing line, and nobody's trusting anybody at this point. Everybody's just kind of standing there looking like who's going to make the first move. And there's one person in the situation that has a gun, and the chances of his having consequences on him are little to none in 2016. Especially if it's a black American. Because typically they're poor and they can't do nothing about it. Well, social media is here and there is something going on about it. Now there's people in the streets because of it. But, so anyways, because there's this untrust between the two communities, that's something that needs to be mended. And I think the way that happens is, first off, there needs to stop being a group of Americans out there that looks at a situation and goes, okay, the person that has everything in their corner to lie, that has all the power, that has all the cards, they're the bank. You know, they set the rules and regulations here. And they can have no consequence if they don't want consequence. Or the people that can't do anything. They're just helpless to the situation. And yet we have a large portion of society that defends and thinks that the side of with no consequence, they're the trustworthy ones. What do they care? So why are you not believing the person that's been stepped on, that's got a boot down on their neck? And if you want to look at it and say, well, it's black America, certainly it's black America. But it's a lot of America. There's really no racial thing with this.
No.
The boot's down on the neck of a lot of Americans right now.
And it's on
but I'm going to tell you,
disproportionate.
You're correct. You're correct.
Of black necks.
You're correct. You're 1,000% correct. And Hillary Clinton's husband had stuff to do with that too. And you know that's a whole political rant right there. But a lot of people had something to do with that. By the way, it goes back to Nixon. But the answer to this is not violence, though, whatsoever. And I think there's people that they're getting to that point. We're seeing, especially what's going on in Dallas right now, or at least reports that are coming out of Dallas, that's where people are going to go with this. And that is not in any way, shape, or form that's going to make the problem 1,000 times worse. Because that's going to give the authority the excuse to do what they want.
Crack down. Oh, yeah.
They don't need an excuse to do what they want. They do what they want now.
They'll feel like they have a mandate.
They do what they want now. Didn't you see both of the videos?
I understand that.
Both of those men bleeding out?
I understand that. But
Didn't you watch the news today and see Director Comey up there making sure that Hillary Clinton got to do what she wanted to?
Yeah, but he doesn't control.
But they're doing. This is what I'm saying to you. They're doing
middle fingers up.
They're doing that. Camera. They're doing all that unprovoked. Okay. Do you understand? They're doing that unprovoked. Provoke that. And see
our
what they do.
existence is provoking up. Provoking.
I'm not saying not provoke it. I'm saying there's a way. There's a way to do it. If you meet the government with violence, they're going to win every time.
Every time.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody across the world will tell you that.
Let me tell you something. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Jesus, they were on to something. Cause, I hate to, whatever. I know there's people out there that feel different, but
tough.
The government's going to stomp on your head and laugh as they do it. So
and make sure that no charges were filed.
Right. So violence, it should be no option. Like
no,
that
there will be charges filed.
That shouldn't even be on the table. But there should be peaceful resistance. What's going on in Times Square right now is a good thing. A good thing. Just don't be getting out of control with it.
Right.
But it is time for people to be in the streets. It's time for people to speak up. It's time for people to say they're fed up with everything. We've been lied to for way too long. People have a right to be angry, and they certainly have a right to be marching right now. Just don't get carried away with it, as far as rambunctiousness. But walk right up. Look. Walk right up to the senator's door and say, nah, you ain't representing me anymore.
Or hell.
Peacefully.
Yeah, and because voting is too much to ask for. That's the thing. There'll be arguments from opposing sides because people are not unified enough, and they're still going to grab on and hold on to the reasons according to their party's affiliation. The reasons to kick, for instance, in our own state, Shelby or Jefferson or Sessions out, it didn't matter. Some group is going to find a reason to hold on to him and argue that he needs to be kept and that it would be a kangaroo court job, that type of deal. We've got to have unity, and we've got to come together in order to do that, and that's going to be the difficult.
People need to approach the situation with love because I'm telling you, if you go at it any other way,
destroyed.
Yeah.
Before you even get off the ground.
You got to go at it with love, but you still got to be realistic, and you got to not put up with this nonsense anymore.
And determined.
Right.
And it doesn't take a majority of people. It really does not.
I tell you what, though, Kevin, we were talking about this earlier, about Independence Day and what it meant for people. And I told you, to me, what it was is it was a celebration of the creation of the government, the United States government. Now, in the form that we have today, no, because it's not even kind of the same thing. But the way people get like this emotional attachment through the team colors that we have, and the way they shoot shiny lights off in the air, and people get this connection to the people that their ancestors and the people that fought and died for this country, Normandy and people that were heroic.
And I'm proud to be
an
American.
Sure. And people that did do great things, and people that, and then there were some bad things going on too. We just like to sweep under the rug.
Oh, yeah.
And I like to, there was some real bad stuff that we pretended wasn't going on back then that certainly was.
We should really get into that all off the air, because there's been a lot of stuff I found that, who would argue that it wasn't a rough time?
But that has nothing to do with today. None of it does. Not a single bit. Because If you think those people stood for something, well, those people, first off, are dead, and they ain't going to do nothing. And their values or whatever they represent, that's spinning over in its grave. Because this is no reflection of what they had at all. The Bill of Rights is so far gone. Like, that's cute that they even, like, that's just a thing in a building to go look at. Like, that's just a piece of history. Because they're certainly not in action in this country. I mean, the Fourth Amendment, give me a break. They're literally taking everything everyone does. And why don't we even...
Unless your last name is Clinton, of course.
Well, that's, yeah. And see, that's the biggest oligarchy spit in the face that you can have. Not only are we going to do all this, we're going to just not even hide it anymore. We're not even going to pretend we're not doing this. We know you're angry. We know you're mad.
But just move past it.
And we were talking about this the other night. Trump and Bernie both have represented something in this country for whatever you want to say. Who cares about the candidates in this case? But they have been a lightning rod and have galvanized the frustrated people in this country. The right wing has been frustrated and they've gone to Trump. The left wing's been frustrated and they went to Bernie. But it shows that everybody in this country, despite what you believe in, is fed up.
Mm-hmm.
So they have known that this is coming because people are mad. People are pissed off. And yet they have the audacity to get up there and go, we know she broke the law and we don't care. Peace out. And that's going to take us coming up to the end of the hour here with Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, S.M. Gibson. Enjoy a beautiful song by the Red Walls. See you in a few.
Played the part, my friend. I tried to break her
Anti Media Radio is back for hour 2. This is SM Gibson, your host. Joined in the studio with Shannon and Kevin. Catch us on ucy.tv/GAMR or the antimedia.org/radio twice a week. Doing the 2-hour show now, guys. It really doesn't matter. Who cares? We've got 2 cops that's been shot in Dallas. The world's in chaos.
So we did confirm that there has been 2 police officers shot in Dallas?
Yeah, there has.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And real quick, though, I want to give a shout-out to the Band Brothers in Chicago of the Red Wall. The song there is called Game of Love. And speaking of Chicago, that's another thing that gets overlooked a lot. The violence over the holiday weekend was just insane.
In Chicago, yeah, I heard about that, man. That was nuts.
Okay, just this week, there's been 9 people killed. There's been 79 people shot since in the past 6 days. This month, there's been 13 homicides. This month, what is today? The 7th. 13 homicides, 99 people shot in Chicago.
Gun-free zone, baby.
Right. So, anybody that needs to know, how that works out for people.
Right. Don't defend yourself.
Let's see. Uh-oh. We're having a Facebook problem. Let's see.
Is it blocking all the live feeds from...
Yeah, they're doing
the
something with the page. I'm trying to sign in. They kicked us out here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That didn't take long.
No, that's not good. I tell you what, Shannon, won't you, are you keeping up with the situation?
Yeah,
right now?
I'm actually reading some news right now about that. This is coming off of, the wire. There's also another protest that started in St. Paul, Minnesota, as well. And that was, the scene of the story we were just talking about before the break. Yeah, there are heavy police presence in Dallas right now with officers taking cover behind vehicles on the street. So
it just made me put in
now turning into a war zone. Forget about riot. Yeah, it's getting stupid out there.
And let me tell you what just happened on Facebook. It just said this is somebody reported you, and you have to enter in the capture. That was it. So that's what happened with that.
So you could get linked up to the NSA.
Yeah, really? Well, it was already. I'm on Facebook.
You had to agree to get,
Fedbook, as Claire calls it.
Fedbook, yeah. Man. And again, I mean, I really, what else is it going to take? Negotiations are not working. Cameras are not working. Microphones are not working.
Listen, you can't go to war with the police because you will lose.
Every time.
The end. Like, there ain't no arguing your way out of that. 2 officers down.
And again, we're talking about, 2 people. The 2 shootings we referenced earlier in the show. 2 people that weren't at war with anybody. One guy was selling CDs and, not, again, I still don't know the narrative about a gun.
Okay. Let me say this real quick. I'm sorry that I have to have an I told you so moment, which is not an I told you so. It's just the situation told everyone so. Why weren't you paying attention to it?
Mm-hmm.
Edward Snowden released his information that he had to the American people, okay? And they said he was a traitor because he gave the info to the enemy.
Both major candidates right now have branded him a traitor. Go ahead.
It was at that moment that they were blatantly saying, like they've said it, but they said it just straight up, you are the enemy.
Trump wants him dead.
Trump wants him dead. Because that's how Trump's going to answer everything. Authoritarian.
Kill him.
All that other stuff he talks about, you may get suckered in by that.
You're fired.
Everything else, the show, listen, that's a funny show to watch. That is a funny television show.
That is not a good show to live in.
But that's not the world you want to live in, because that guy is going to bring the pain
Lots
with him.
of stress and lots of fear.
Uh-huh.
Lots of stress and lots of fear. And if you're not making it and clawing your way to the top just like you're supposed to, you gotta go.
Let's see. It's kicking off. We got, again, I think the cops are going to get in trouble for this one. They have to. They have to, because that's another situation where if it doesn't, this has nothing to do with anything other than the federal government is going, okay, we've been preparing for a while, so come on out. That's what they're asking. And that doesn't need to happen. We don't need to get to that point. We don't need that.
Well, and really, it's going to depend right now if
they don't convict those cops.
If it continues to get louder and louder in these protests.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about some people that are just tired of being kicked around and pushed around.
Understandably so. Understandably so, people. It's time to be fed
Damn it, this is 2016. Yeah, this is a new millennium. This is a completely new world we live in now. Information is just, anything that you want to know is at your fingertips.
But we're
the
still,
answer to any question you could ask.
But we're still celebrating the ghost of over 200 years ago and acting like that's what we believe in.
Man, go read some of these comment sections, man. They're coming out of the woodworks. And yes, a lot of them, if you go to their Facebook pages, are going to be voting straight ticket Republican.
First off, the world started over at the end of World War II. Everything hit reset. And everything really hit reset since 9/11, because we're in a completely different world too since then. But we had the symptoms of this world we live in, but it went full blown with 9/11, because then they had the excuse to just do whatever they wanted. But we had the symptoms really bad since the day Kennedy got it.
For quite longer than most people unfortunately realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be solved overnight by any stretch of the imagination.
And it was bad before then, but I think there was still some legitimate, I think there were still some decent people.
It's been progressively getting worse for a long time.
I said that on Tuesday's show, I believe. But yeah, I think that was the moment when it was all right, the bad guys are in charge now.
Right.
Nothing you can do about it.
It became obvious to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. But we're still talking about. And here's the thing about that. The Bill of Rights, if it was, the Declaration of Independence, that's all great. But it doesn't exist, and we have to recognize that it doesn't. It would be nice if it did. That seems like that would be a nice way to run things. So maybe we should look back at that. But that's not what we have. And we need to stop pretending that we do.
Right. Sleep well.
Right. Maybe that's something we should, should pull back up. But Ron Paul tried. Nobody really paid much attention to it, though.
That crazy old guy.
Yeah.
His tinfoil hat.
He did a great job, man. He really used the platform well, too.
And he woke a lot of people up.
He certainly did. He certainly did.
And for all of our
and he's not
anarchist friends.
perfect. All right. But Ron Paul did a good thing, and he got a lot of people inspired.
He gave you a good example of really how you can do it. And he, for the most part, kept... he was pretty damn sincere.
Because that splintered into a million different directions from the most hardcore of hardcore anarchists now. But Ron sparked a lot.
He did. And the state, man, let's face it, the state uses 1,000 cuts. Just death by 1,000 cuts.
He was like the gateway drug of freedom.
Oh, yeah, literally. And we need more.
Certainly. I think Alex Jones was like that for some people. But, Alex Jones is what Alex Jones is, and he's got his old television show, too. But and that's funny sometimes. But, I think...
Hey, it's got its place, man.
It has its place, and I think it got a lot of people thinking.
Yeah, certainly.
I think it got a lot of people thinking.
And for a lot of other people, if you're going to stop it, like you said, it got a lot of people thinking. And very few people that I know, Alex Jones was the end of their I guess, their educational experience per se.
If that's where it ended, that's not good.
Yeah, exactly. If that's where it ended, we don't need. I say we. I don't mean to collectivize ourselves such a way, but it's not needed. That's not the people that you want involved that are willing to, stop right there, because we all know there's always more details to find.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I in no way, shape, or form.
Let me tell you, boy.
Pretend that I have the answers or the anti-media has the answers. We're here to provide the information as we best see fit, so people have access to the truth, and we do our best to do that.
That's our damn truth,
right? Well,
I know I'm being completely facetious,
but that's the goal. That's the real mission statement. Is people have been lied to for so long. Is at least let's just start saying what things are.
Right.
Let's start just talking in realistic terms. And this is what's actually happening in the world. And I want to say, I mentioned in the first hour, we talk about it every episode, Russia, especially with NATO, but it's, U.S., but that NATO's got other people with them. And look, they're getting on Tony Blair right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because of his allegiance to the U.S.
Did you guys happen to see that China came out and said that they are prepared to fight the U.S. if needed, and that Russia has their back?
That's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure this is over. I didn't actually get to read the full article. I believe it's over that territory that, where is it at, the seas, that they've been kind of fighting with a little bit back and forth. It's a mess, man. What better time for a war on another front?
So are you still...
War.
Are you still keeping up with the situation in Dallas, Shannon?
Yeah, I'm kind of updating. I haven't seen anything recently. I know it's still a bunch of chaos.
I'm gonna pull up a live feed of this because this is too important, I believe, to go neglected. When you have people in the streets, you've got 2 police officers shot. And we're not talking in the streets in one city. We're talking in cities around the country. But because people are tired and they're fed up. Let's see. Do your magic, Internet.
You know what it is, don't you, man? They're trying to slow the
Here's
internet
one.
down.
Okay, now I'm seeing it saying 3 to 6 officers down in Dallas. That's on 2 reports. Now, that's unconfirmed. That's all.
Don't think there won't be any retribution.
It's all completely unconfirmed. I want to stress that I'm repeating unconfirmed things. And I'm pulling this information from social media. Because I trust people that are on the ground inside the situation better than I trust it to be filtered through the media. So... I'm trying to check it out. Saying it sounded like a war zone. Active shooter, blah, blah, blah.
Did you say drill? Active shooter drill?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it would.
It'd be something, but it wouldn't be a surprise, that's for sure.
There are rallies going on right now in Atlanta, in Chicago, Dallas, and
I figured it's going to end up everywhere before the night's over.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking, I wonder, I hope I don't come across anybody trying to stop me while I'm trying to drive home tonight.
It's funny, I thought
not that I'm against anything.
Thing.
Not that I'm not down for the cause with you, but I just really want to go home.
There's a reason why Bradwell from Sublime wrote that lyric by Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
What? I'm not.
People right.
I don't think.
You never know that song. Summertime.
I don't think there'll be any riots going on in Tuscaloosa.
I don't think there will be either.
Tuscaloosa is as white as the driven snow.
Have you been to Tuscaloosa?
Well, it depends on if you're hanging out with the white frat kids. Yeah, that's what.
No,
what you
you've never been
to Tuscaloosa and where all the money in Tuscaloosa is coming from, my friend.
First off, who cares who's what? Second off, Tuscaloosa is culturally diverse.
It sounds like he designed the pamphlet for the Welcome to the City.
He's getting all kind of mad cash over here.
Yeah.
For the rest stop,
Twitter
where you,
cash.
for the rest stop, you stop to pee hat.
University of Alabama cash.
You are
That's some
here.
good cash right there.
You are here.
But so what? Who cares? People need to be mad. It's time to be mad. I still don't think there should be violence, but it's time to be mad.
It is time to be mad. It's way past time to be mad.
So, do you think we're going to wake up in the morning? We're going to see, or I guess stay up through the night if you're some of us, and watch us go off in every city in the United States?
I'm to the point now where I don't want to wake up if I go to bed tonight. I want out, man. This sucks.
Well, I don't know if it's that bad.
See,
I keep trying to get people to teach me about hockey.
Why?
Well, it's not here.
Then go to where the hockey is and get out of here.
That's what I'm saying. That's the joke.
If you don't love it here, if you don't like our football, and you want to just skate around the ice with a bunch of ice skates like a girl.
No, I want to tell you something.
You need to get on out of here.
I'm going to tell you something.
We're going to build a wall around Alabama.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not pretending in any way, shape, or form that I'm not hypocritical. Because for me, it's like, I can't believe you just get so worked up about those colors. Oh, man, what are you doing? When it comes to Alabama football and that crimson and white, let me tell you something. I don't want to leave that. That's real stuff. Those men bled on that field for those 16 national titles.
Kevin, have you ever sat and watched a football game with him?
No, I have not.
Oh, my God. I've seen him almost destroy his TV on several occasions. I mean, seriously.
Out of
it's
anger, or is he
TV,
over which side? This is an Alabama fan, right? Correct?
Your wife's going to wind up divorcing you before it's all
over the
said and done.
game?
Over the TV, what he does.
Look,
to TV.
so, yeah, I admit
He's
it.
going to destroy
I
that.
admit it. I admit it. That's my thing. It's my outlet. Don't care. I have plenty of them. I think everybody should go live their life and be happy and not be consumed with the hate in the world and love the people around you.
And throw a brick through the screen of your big flat screen if you have one.
For
Jesus or for peace or whatever.
For right
listen, okay. If your arch rival runs the ball back with 1 second left, and that doesn't make you want to break something, then what is supposed to make you want to break something?
I don't ever want to talk about that on the show again.
I can't argue with it, but I learned when I was younger that when you break stuff that you bought,
that's the only, that's the trigger for me.
That's the drawback.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I know it is, but it's fine. It's fine. Let's watch WWE. Let's talk about WWE because why not? Why not?
They got one of their wrestlers run for president right now.
He is in their Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Most certainly is. One of the members of the WWE Hall of Fame is running for president.
I've seen him in the ring before.
And
he got the Stone Cold Stunner.
He took one.
And lived to tell about it.
He gave his share to Vince, too. He shaved Vince's head. Let's not forget. Lest we forget. Vince got his head shaved by your future president of the United States. Maybe. We'll see how that works. It's going to be a Republican. But it always was.
There's only one Republican left.
Well.
And he's not even really a Republican.
It ain't November yet, so.
He sure talks like
I hope we get to it in one piece. I really hope we get to it in one piece, but I'm not convinced yet. So maybe he'll be there. Maybe he won't. But let's hope everything goes smoothly. And yes, it is him and her. Maybe it'll be right. Like, that's what I've said. If he really wanted to make America great, like, honestly, it's like he would step down and endorse Ron Paul.
I agree completely.
Not that Ron Paul would fix everything overnight, because he wouldn't, but it would be a little bit of, like I say, okay, let's just take a deep breath for a second.
And he'd have to
go that's what it's time to do.
And he'd have the testicular fortitude to tell you that, he's not going to fix it overnight.
He's just going to say, we got to take a pause, because this is running too crazy.
And it's not over with.
It's not saying we're going to fix it, but we got to take the foot off the gas.
We got to stop the hemorrhaging, boss.
So...
Do you ever think that Ted Cruz has mercy killed a cat before?
Maybe. I've never thought about it, but it's possible.
He just has that look of somebody.
He has got an untrustworthy demeanor about him.
I wouldn't trust my cat around him. That's for
very untrustworthy demeanor. That guy's,
he's got that "I beat the Supreme Court" look going on.
I just think it's so bizarre that, like, Johnson walked around saying, "I'm going to be president. I'm going to take over the world," and then Ted Cruz is on video saying it. these like kind of preppy rich kids. Johnson was not a preppy rich kid, but he certainly had that spunk, didn't he? But
which one?
Lyndon Johnson, LBJ. And then they all get high up into politics. Like, this is the people in charge. Like, this is who's running stuff. The crazy kid you couldn't stand in high school. That's like, I'm going to get all y'all one day.
All you suckers.
And it's going to be all about me finally. Because I'm smarter than y'all. And a lot of these people, some of them are smart, some of them aren't. But you can be smart and be completely evil. Go look at Dick Cheney. He accomplished quite a bit. None of it was positive, but he did a lot.
For himself, yeah, he did.
A lot, for sure.
He did a lot for himself.
So he had to figure something out to get all that done. And there was a lot of other people involved in that, too, of course. But yeah, I've definitely decided from this moment on, I think I came to this conclusion a long time ago, I'm never going to refer to it as the Bush administration again. I'm just going to talk as it was Dick Cheney was the president. And George Bush was like Dan Quayle or Joe Biden, and he was just the cute one on the side. Because that was the Cheney administration. We need to just start calling that what it is, too.
Oh, definitely. Who was controlling the response to 9/11? While he was reading a book,
right?
School children.
Man,
about a goat. You seen that one?
Yeah, that goofy. Oh, of course.
That goat.
Of course.
It's not the goat's fault.
No, I'm talking about the conspiracy.
That was a look of just no. What do I do now?
Did you say? Did you just say goat conspiracy?
No, I said the goat conspiracy.
What am I supposed to do now? And let me tell you what happened. His old Dick Cheney got on the phone with him. He's like, "It's gonna be okay, George. Don't worry about it. We're gonna take you somewhere safe, and we're gonna make sure you stay safe.
We got this.
We got this. We understand what's going on.
Hey, shoot him down. Hey,
so you just stay safe. We're worried about your safety."
Safe.
And then Dick Cheney went and did whatever he wanted to do. So that's probably how that day went down. That'd be my guess. That conversation happened.
Well, there had to be a reason why they refused to testify separately when called after 9/11. Remember that Bush and Cheney both refused to answer any questions.
Who cares? Like what did we just see with Hillary? I would rather, like honestly, Dick Cheney get up there and go, yeah, and
do the DX.
Yeah, it's like at least this guy's kind of telling me the truth. At least he has the decency to do it to my face.
Yeah.
These other people, Hillary Clinton walks around going, "I've never told a lie to anyone ever." She said those words.
I think she believes it almost.
There's no way. The most unlikable, and there's still people that think she's going to be president. I still haven't figured that out.
I'm one of them.
You're crazy.
I don't want her to be president.
I don't. That's not what we're talking about.
Out of all the choices that we could have had for president, I think
it is well established that nobody on this show wants either candidate. So I understand that nobody wants any of those people to win.
No, I'm sorry. You do want Trump, don't you?
Trump would at least be good TV, even though
that would be bad. That would be bad
it'd
TV.
Be good
what
now.
You're seeing,
it would be good
but
TV.
what you're seeing tonight would be. Oh my goodness. He is going to come out and be like, let's see if he's saying anything about it. Maybe he's promoting himself. 3-5 now. Let's see. Yeah, we got 3-5 for sure. That's what I'm getting in. Oh my gosh. And let's hope this violence doesn't start bleeding some of these other cities.
Well, it appears that's already what it's done, no? Well, and I said violence. I don't know how much of these protests are actually violent, so I kind of spoke a little too soon. But whenever there's protests like this and there's multiple, you guarantee like clockwork, there's going to be either some agent provocateurs, or there's going to be somebody that's just had enough, or even some drunk belligerent that is more than likely willing to kick it off and burn it all down, who may not even remember it the next morning.
They're saying, though, they were like DART officers. You know those guys downtown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be
you
like
say
that.
DART?
Yeah, that's not like a real cop.
Right.
At least they're not here. I don't know what
them
they are.
that.
I don't
Tell
know
them
what
that.
I don't know what they are in Dallas, but
Tell them that.
oh, I know. But they may exert the same authority. I don't know, but yeah, you know, however that goes. They ride bicycles here, so yeah, I'm trying to find the most up-to-date information. There's a lot to sort through.
Word.
Let's see. So is this the night it kicks off? Like, is this it? I don't think it is.
Yeah, man.
I don't think it is at all.
There's been 1,000 of these same nights.
I think so, too.
This is nothing compared to what it was in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, I know, yeah.
We had
people forget that.
Literally whole blocks. It's easy to forget. A lot of people don't know. Never knew, and so, at least for the younger people, the younger generation.
I tell you what.
And again, you know, this just started, too.
And that's thing.
So I don't know exactly how loud it's going to get.
Now Birmingham had its you know, some skirmishes here and there on the activist side, but you look at Watts, you look at Detroit, they were burning stuff to the ground, and at least King and Shuttlesworth and the guys here were
the
saying,
Klan was burning things to the
right
ground.
here. Everybody was approaching how you need to approach this. When it's time to take to the streets, there needs to be some peace, and if they take you to jail, they take you to jail.
Right. But don't get yourself killed because you don't benefit anybody by doing so. Especially if you're an activist.
Right. There is a lot to be, especially with people right now, to study the word. Like, go back and look at King's strategies, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, that's all listed of how, you know, to handle a protest. Because first, you can't say it didn't work to some degree. Now, did it fix everything? Absolutely not, because we're dealing with it right this very second.
Got to have the long-term view of stuff.
But I don't think people today really realize how bad it was back then. And
just out of curiosity, did you ever hear, are you familiar with the idea that Martin Luther King actually became a racist radical to some extent after his I Gave a Dream? Is it not? I didn't know. I couldn't actually find anything to verify it. But,
that's not true at all.
I didn't think so, but I was being told that by a strong black nationalist.
Well, that's not true.
Right. Okay.
So,
stranger things have happened, so that's the reason I kind of question it.
No, because at the end, I think part of the reason they really got upset with King is because he was
bringing people together.
Well, no, he was steering his direction towards the war on like he was going after poverty in this country,
right.
And he was going after the Vietnam War, and those were things they did not need him to discuss because they had seen him have success. Because there was a huge bill called the Civil Rights Bill that happened based on the work of thousands of people, by the way. But he was kind of the face and the figurehead, at least given history. At the time, there were a lot of faces and a lot of people in the movement. But, you know, history has kind of put him as the one in front of that. Oh, yeah, by the way, and, you know, the government was, 99? Conspiracy to kill him. He was a preacher that was preaching peace, and they killed him. Happy 4th. April 4th. Not a happy day. Don't go to Memphis. The opposite of a happy day. That's when they just said, hey, we can kill preachers. There's nothing you can do about it. That happened a long time ago. So, yeah, there's a reason people were in the streets in the 60s. They should have been. They absolutely should have been. And let's not even talk about Vietnam. I mean, you want to talk about spit in people's faces. We can just shoot your preacher. The guy preaching peace, remember him?
Yeah, really.
We're going to just take him out.
What an example.
Oh, but it was the one crazy guy. Yeah, sure it was. That's what King's kids say, ain't it? Oh, wait, no, they don't. Nobody believes that story, and if you do, then you got a lot to learn. There's a lot to go over because the history books haven't been kind to the truth.
Right. Well, very rarely are they.
No.
Nope.
His story, man.
So
to the victor goes the spoils,
that's
including
it.
the truth.
And that's why these live feeds are very important to keep up with the situation. That's what I'm going straight.
Absolutely.
As soon as we get off the air, it's what I'm diving straight into so I can find out what's really going on because I feel so lost right now.
Absolutely, man. I think it's so that video of the young lady who whose boyfriend was shot and killed right in front of her, that we kind of briefly mentioned it earlier. That is, for all that. Can you imagine what would have possibly not happened if she had not? It's one thing for the other Alvin. What's his name? The guy down in New Orleans.
Sterling, Mr.
Sterling, right? His incident was one thing, but then imagine if the second incident had not even been videotaped or had not taken off like this. Everything could still be quiet in the neighborhood, and we might not see any justice or even an investigation into it. Had the second
How
event
long
not
has
really
this?
popped it.
Here's the thing. People realize this isn't just a new fad, right?
Right.
People need to realize.
I say people realize. How many people do? Unfortunately,
This is what needs to be understood. This is not something new. This is being heightened. But the reason that we're having such an issue with it is because we live in a day and age where people are walking around with cameras on with them 24 hours a day. And what used to be in the shadows and given to the files of, well, he had a gun and he dropped it next to him, those days are over because everybody's filming everything. Unless you're apparently at that Orlando nightclub.
Oh my God.
And again, though, even though it's filmed, does it really matter at the end of the day? Is justice served?
No.
Eric Garner?
No, it's not. And that's been proven time and time again. But. You can't just say it's every situation because look what happened in South Carolina when you got a cop on camera. He's putting the gun next to the guy, okay? That situation, when that came out, the report made it sound like it was just, I did what I had to do, no big deal, and that would have been the end of it. The very initial reports of that, nothing ever would have come of it in a million years. And then cell phone footage emerged, and it showed a guy getting shot in the back at 30 yards or whatever it was away, and a cop coming up next to him, putting a gun down next to him. So that's what's happening.
And that's not the first time that's happened.
No, right. That's what I'm saying. This has been going on for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. But people didn't have cameras with them 24 hours a day. And now they do. With the LA, think about that. Think about all this stuff that we know because of YouTube, culture, whatever. Social media. I'm going to post it to my Facebook account. Oh, did you? Is that what's going to happen? I'll post it. We literally had a cop shoot somebody, and within moments, this woman was on the internet, filming it. That's insane that we have that angle to look at. We have that eye to see what's really been happening all these years. And that's what we need to say, what's really been going on this whole entire time. Now we can finally see it. And it's not a pretty sight. People don't like what they're looking at. People that had the star-spangled just dream, it's so great and wonderful, they finally realized it's been taken over by corporations and a bunch of greedy people out for themselves. And they do what they want, when they want, and they don't care about you. That doesn't mean that every person in government's bad. It doesn't mean every cop's bad at all. People are people no matter what. People need to remember that. This whole putting labels on everybody, well, they're bad, that's where you get in trouble. Because as soon as you start pointing fingers, that's a problem. Everybody needs to realize this is happening everywhere.
Everywhere.
This is happening in every culture. Now, there are some that are getting it much, much, much worse.
Definitely.
But this is a society problem. This is a problem with society.
Great point. And it's not reserved for just the inside of the borders of the United States.
This is everywhere right now. And on top of it, we're trying to poke a war with Vladimir Putin.
And still making more deals with governments that are funding, for all intensive purposes, at least shades of jihadists and terrorists that are really killing Muslims, Jews, and Christians, and everybody else.
I don't think there's us funding government. That's not shades. We're just doing it. We've done it. People are finally, I think they're finally going, oh no, all the crazy lunatics were right. All those people we laughed at were right. And then you're having these kids that have grown up with YouTube. They've grown up at 10 years old. Okay, when we first heard about 9/11, my first ever experience about that was via YouTube. And I don't know, I don't know how old I would have been. I was in my 20s, though. Kids that started seeing that at 10 years old are now early 20s. And they're like, no, what did y'all do? What have y'all been up to? We've seen what's happening here. We don't like it.
And I remember, because again, I am the elder statesman in the room. But I do remember I was actually at work. I've said it before, I do plumbing work for a living, and I was at a lady's house. And as I was walking into the lady's house, my phone rang from work, and I ignored the call because I was talking to my customer. She had the TV on, and it was pretty much, oh my God, a plane just hit a building in New York. And so I actually watched in real time the second plane hit. And that started a cascade of questions, and why did this happen, and why are these buildings burning so quickly? And there was a lot of stuff, and now, of course, looking back on it now, I mean, there was just so much we didn't know then.
But here's the thing, that's probably nothing really even to get into tonight, but I think that is definitely something that's fueled what's going on right now. That is part of what is fueling this. People are fed up, people are sick, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. And there's one from here, and there's one from there.
If they could fake something like that, if our government could fake something like that, what else are they capable of pulling off?
10 cops shot, 3 dead is the latest update I just received.
Oh, my God.
That's what, so, again, unconfirmed as of right now because I don't have what I trust in front of me. So I'm just going with that. I know I can pull up these TV shows, but I'm going to not do that.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't need that headache in my life right now.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm going to pull it up. I just want to see what headlines they're running. Multiple police officers reportedly shot in Dallas during protest, according to Fox News. Police reportedly are negotiating with the possible suspect who is believed to have done one of the shootings. So they're saying multiple people here, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see, yeah. It's kicking off. Well, that was bound to happen.
Oh, yeah, we knew it was coming. Like you said a minute ago, I'm surprised it genuinely took this long. I would have thought it would have been a little bit sooner. But, it's summertime. And, a lot of statistics show in the summertime, especially these heat waves, people become more violent.
Chicago's notorious for the violence coming up in the summer, because when it gets hot and people get mad and frustrated, that's when stuff, starts happening. So yeah, Chicago again is our gauge for what happens with a lot of this stuff in the country.
With the strictest of all the gun laws of all the municipalities that are currently demonstrating right now. I mean, again, you can't even say demonstration anymore, at least in the case of Dallas. I mean, we have shots fired, a possible sniper.
That's not good.
It's getting loud, buck wild.
That's not good.
Buck wild.
One thing to have everybody protesting peacefully in Times Square.
That's another thing to start climbing up in buildings and start shooting anything with a blue uniform.
Yeah. Because that's not going well.
And again, and I can't stress this enough, because I am not, categorically am not anti-cop.
Yes.
I am not.
I won't say that. I won't joke about
that. That's just, but all that is
I've
just
known
say,
some
let me
good
tell you
police
something.
officers,
When you
good
say,
people.
when you say you're anti-cop or you say you're anti-whatever race or you're anti-immigrant or whatever you're anti, what you're saying is I'm anti-person. I'm anti-human. It's just those people, but I'm anti-human. Like, that's what people are saying. So whoever it is, people are people.
But but let me finish my statement though, because
I tell you what, before you do, I'm going to bring on Mr. Nick Burnaby.
The man himself.
Let's do it. He's going to update us with what's going on. Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Well, we're kind of observing,
hanging on by the edge of our seats,
the fall of Babylon here.
Yeah, man, this thing's going down in Dallas. So, I mean, there's plenty of reports out there. I mean, there's two guys for sure were shot. There's been several other reports of like 3 to 6. It's hard to say. You know, there's probably no one really knows.
I don't know if this is true.
A mess.
I have received a text that says 10 cops shot, 3 dead.
That could be true as well. Definitely seems like I was just watching a video with one of the organizers of the protest, and the guy was actually saying that he's a gun owner himself. In fact, some of the protesters were open carrying as well, including rifles and stuff. So, I mean, there was like peaceful protesters open carrying guns that were not shooting anybody.
Well, I think
somebody just started cheering.
I think in Minneapolis being ground zero, they're going to handle that right, because I think that cop they're gonna have to cut him loose, like his life's over, and because they can't risk that happening. Like that of any situation. Like I'm shocked the NRA is not just screaming right now. Like, this is a situation where people need to be like, no.
Well, the NRA, man, you know, it's made up of a bunch of so-called. I don't know, man. I don't want to go too far into the race thing, bro. But let's be real, man. Half of these guys at the NRA are racist. They don't give a shit if a black guy that was legally carrying a gun got shot.
It has now come down. This is coming off of Reuters. Apparently, there has been 10 officers shot and 3 are dead. No suspects in custody.
10 officers
in Dallas.
Shot?
10 officers shot in protest.
Can you imagine the roar back that's going to come from law enforcement?
I mean, this is kind of unprecedented.
And this is the thing. Trump is going to calm down. For all the people that Trump, this is where you're going to see where the problem is. He is going to say authoritarian. If I
were in charge,
if I was in charge, I would shut that down. Not on my watch. And for anybody that thinks that Donald Trump says something funny, because guess what? It probably was funny. Like, it probably was, because the guy's hilarious. But he's going to come in and he's going to say, I'm going to shut it down with the military. I'll take care of it. If you disagree with me, you're my enemy, and I'll get rid of you. That's how.
Well, you know, it looks like whoever was shooting at these cops was well positioned in a strategic area.
Snipers, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was one guy. I mean, hard to tell. There, some of the lives or people that were reporting live on Facebook were saying that they thought it was 2 guys, but they weren't experts or anything like that. And the echo, you're in a downtown area, the shots are going to echo. So that's the other thing. It's really hard to tell where the shots are coming from because the sounds are bouncing off of all the buildings and stuff.
Hey, by the way, the government had learned a long time ago that Dallas is an awesome place to get snipers and take people out and nobody know what happened. They've run that one before.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I was
buildings are
listening
good.
to the shots, and as one of the organizers said, he's like, I could tell it was probably an AR type rifle. You can tell it, you know, it's just a semi-automatic, just someone rapid firing from a far distance. I wouldn't doubt if it was a sniper. I wouldn't call it a sniper, but I would, you know, a marksman, somebody with a scope and was picking people off from far away.
But if they're dark officers, who's doing that? Like, who's going to say, I'm going to get these downtown cops on bikes? Because they're the guys doing it.
These pesky little rats.
Right. If that's what we're looking at.
yeah, I mean, this is going to be unprecedented, as you said. I mean, calls for gun control are now going to be supported by the right, I think, because, you know, they love cops and all that stuff. So I don't know.
But they figured out their play. Well done. They finally figured out how to get the right to go along with gun control, if that's what happened.
Yeah, and then, you know, the other thing, and I made a status update on this too, is that, man, this is blowback, classic blowback, possibility that this is blowback. I mean, this could be something else going on too, but, you know, if this is just like if it happens to be some black dude shooting at the cops, I mean, this is blowback if that's the case, you know, and people are only going to put up with so much, man, and I don't condone violence and stuff, but after the whole Ferguson thing and then Baltimore and then, you know, just Ohio, Cleveland, Tamir Rice, you know, this stuff just keeps happening. And then there's all these protests and stuff, and then there's not much action, not much, you know, nothing changes. And then these two guys just this week that get gunned down by the cops, both of those videos seemed pretty much like it was an unjust killing by the cops. You know, people are going to just start lashing out, man. This is classic blowback if this turns out to be the case, dude. And you know, I don't see it getting any better until some legitimate reforms are actually done and people start seeing the cops being much more hands-off, or, you know, stop being as aggressive or whatever. Otherwise, this stuff's going to keep happening, and then, you know, the cops are going to become more violent because they feel like they're being shot at or being targeted, and then the communities are going to be more violent against the cops. I mean, it's a bad cycle. It's not going in a good direction at all.
No, it's definitely not going in a positive direction, I don't think. Well, it depends on how you look at it. I probably know some that we both know, Nick, some pretty hardcore anarchists that are just like, yeah, this is great. This is what I've been waiting on. Get this over with. That's what it looks like we're going. But the problem is we're going to be in front of before we, you know, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And Hillary Clinton's never going to be the president, which leaves us with
You're on that again.
That leaves us with the guy that's going to go, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. And let's not forget, that Donald Trump, speaking of gun control, that guy sure was for it for a long time, and now magically he's not. So nobody knows what they're going to get if he's president. Nobody.
Yeah, it's a pretty fluid time that we're in right now, man, and got to be real careful about how the narrative is kind of played out here. I think we can all see the gun control narrative coming out, and you know, the NRA has never been afraid of gun control as long as it was against minorities and stuff like that. I mean, if you look back at some of the history, you'll see that one of the first big things that they did was to try to control guns for black people and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know, man. This is going to be a very interesting, you know, series of events that is going to start playing out tomorrow morning on the news and in conversations with people. And it's polarizing, dividing, very much so. I mean, this is going to be probably one of the more dividing things we've ever seen in our lifetimes. So it's not looking good.
Downtown Dallas breaking right now. Downtown Dallas is on lockdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that they probably got a kind of a martial law scenario going on right now down there.
That was my next question: is when are they going to
breaking? Protesters in Oakland are blocking all northbound and southbound lanes of I-80. Let's see, Dallas.
People are fed up, bro. I mean, they're fed up, and I wouldn't doubt that some of the frustration does tie back to this Hillary Clinton thing. And I know a lot of the Black Lives Matter people were Bernie supporters, and they feel, you know, wronged in that sense as well. There's a lot of frustration out there.
It's happened everywhere else. It was only a matter of time before it happened here. It's happened everywhere else. London's had riots. Like, it's hit everywhere. Look, I mean, Nick, you see it way more than I do. What's been going on in Mexico, and people don't even realize that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. If we get Trump for president, we'll have that big wall up and we won't have to worry about Mexico anymore.
Well, we could put walls around every big city and just let them riot themselves to death, I guess. That'd be Trump's solution to this problem.
Oh, probably so.
I don't know, dude. I mean, I think that people are just real fed up with the oligarchy altogether, man. And, you know, the police state, the systemic racism and all that stuff that goes along with it, it's all kind of just symptoms of the oligarchy, dude, and just people not feeling represented. They have beef, they have grief, and they have complaints, and they feel like they're never heard. You know, you can only vote so many times before you give up and say, you know what, screw this. I'm done voting and I'm ready to riot or I'm ready to shoot somebody.
That's
where
we're at.
Eventually, yeah, and I think that's where we're at. Now, the problem is...
People need to remember division will not work. This is when we need to come together. We need to come together collectively and go, okay, this is what is in front of us, and this is the problem. And slow down before a lot of people get hurt.
That's true, man. That's what needs to happen, but I have doubts that that's going to happen anytime soon. And the big problem here is that, you know, people are ready for people have the revolutionary virus right now. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders' slogan was political revolution, even though, you know, we all know that was kind of bogus. But people buy into that and they feel that and they believe in that stuff. And people, the country is ripe for a revolution. The problem is, you know, first of all, we're not together or unified in any kind of solutions when it comes to, okay, let's have a revolution, but what comes after, right? And that's the main issue here, is that ideologically and, you know, philosophically, the country is just way too immature to be ready for any kind of revolution if we're expecting it to have a positive outcome right now. Honestly, if we had a revolution right now, the people of this country would probably settle for a dictator. I mean, they really would.
They are.
What are we going to do? Like, have a revolution and then fix our government and stuff? I really don't see that happening right now, dude. Look at Trump. Trump is like, all the people that are supporting Trump, man, they're leaning towards authoritarianism as it is.
You just described what's happening, because we live in a culture that's more consumed with taking selfies and putting them on Instagram than they are actually fixing anything. Because Bernie's solutions were, I'm going to fix it and give you free stuff. And they're like, that sounds great. And Trump's like, I'll take care of it. Don't anybody worry about it. That sounds great. Because people are more consumed with themselves and they don't want to deal with it. So they're just going to hand the keys over. And when they hand them over to Trump, they're handing them over to a lunatic.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, people, the thing is if we had a revolution that was going to work, it would have to be radical self-reliance and, like, decentralization and, like, self-government and things like that. I mean, right now, if this country descends into the chaos, and I hope it doesn't, honestly, if it descends into this borderline revolutionary chaos, dude, we're going to, in the end, in a year, a couple years down the line, we're going to have a dictator. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, not something that is going to be helpful or, you know, beneficial for anybody. And anybody with any brains is going to be getting the hell out of this place.
Yeah, we're going towards more government. We're not going away from it. That's what nobody said.
Yeah.
Because Trump, no point, out to his credit, at no point have I heard him say we're going to make the government smaller. Not that I've heard him say.
No, the two candidates that have inspired the masses this election cycle, which was Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, are big government guys. You know, and all of their solutions have been big government. Well, whether it's with Trump with his nationalism or Sanders with his socialism, it's big government stuff, and the people are buying into that. That's the direction the country is heading, dude. I mean, the problem is that we've been fed these bogus solutions and ideas for so long that radical self-reliance is kind of so far out of the question for 98% of people. You know, it's great for us, man, because we have a bunch of activist friends that are, you know, anarchists and, you know, libertarians and radicals and, you know, things like that actually kind of get it. The problem is that those people only make up like a very, very small percent of the population. I don't know, at the most 2%. You know, and then you got some people that are kind of like leaning towards, you know, maybe you got the progressives and then you got like the libertarians and the people like that are kind of getting, they kind of understand the problems and things like that. But I hope that this stuff doesn't lead us to a revolution, because we're just not ready for it now, and it would end up disastrous, I think, at this moment in time. We need a longer enlightenment period. We need more people understanding the true roots of the issues going on, and people getting the problems and finding out solutions. The revolution doesn't have to be violent, but as long as we have this unrepresentative oligarchy, there's going to be a bunch of violence to, opposing it. Even though people that are opposing it violently don't have solutions, they're going to oppose it violently anyway, because emotion takes control at a certain point, and that's just how it plays out. Now it's up to the people, the thinkers, the philosophers and stuff, to try to pull the pieces together and maybe spread some alternative ideas. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with, whether it's Trump or Clinton or some other fascist. We're going to be stuck with one of them, and for a long time, maybe, if we're not really careful.
I mean, I foresee us being stuck with it. I think, and you stress this more than anybody I know, Nick, that all these angry, frustrated Trump supporters, they're gonna, as soon as he's elected, they're gonna go back to bed.
Of course.
Like, that's over. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants, at least in those people's eyes. And then you're going to have the other side that no matter what he does, it's going to be wrong, just like they do now with Obama. Everything he does is wrong. Everything he does is, well, I don't think anybody thinks everything he does is right anymore, but they used to. But we'll start that way with Trump. Everything he does is right, and everything he else does is wrong. And we'll play that division until he puts, he throws the gavel down and says, "I'm in charge. You're fired."
Yep. The thing that, and we have to look at this from a few perspectives. Now, this Dallas thing kind of throws everything into limbo, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day. But in a vacuum, I think Trump is in many ways less dangerous than Clinton, only because he's opposed by a much greater force. If you look at first of all, the political forces, even the neocons are kind of galvanizing around Hillary Clinton. And Bernie Sanders is about to endorse her, so he's going to have some of the progressive support. She's got the Democrats locked down. The neocons, all the guys with money that do all the political financing and stuff, they're not going to mess around with Hillary Clinton. They're going to let her do her thing, and there's going to be just a bunch of superficial right-wing people say, "Oh, Hillary's bad, Hillary's bad, Hillary's bad," kind of like what they do with Obama. And then he gets away with all these wars and all these bombings and all this foreign policy and stuff. In fact, they say he's too weak. Hillary Clinton, they're gonna love her foreign policy if she becomes elected. Now, Trump, here in San Diego, where I'm living, he came here to give a speech, and there was like the biggest protest that we've had here in San Diego in like 3 years to oppose him.
We're hitting the end of the show, Nick, but I appreciate calling in.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Shannon. That's it for Anytime Music Radio tonight. That's it for what the fuck was.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.